put LaDainian Tomlinson, facing guys jitterbugging back there because there's a guy 2 yards deep in the backfield. You're not going to run the football.
And everybody's talking about we got to set LaDainian Tomlinson. You got to get him going. I'll tell you who you got to get going. Those 5 guys up front. That's where it all starts. If those 5 guys don't get going, Coach, you can have Walter Payton back there.
And you guys know, but it starts in practice. What do you emphasize in practice? How much time do you spend on a 7-on-7 drill or with the line? And to me, that's what's important. You set everything up with the 7-on-7 drill with the running game. If you don't have a running game, forget it. I don't care how good you are, you're not going to win.
Coach, I always like that. People say, it's the skill position. There's a skill in running the ball. There's a skill in coming off the football and developing that kind of just push up front and getting underneath people.
You create an attitude with your offensive line. You say, listen, we're going to run the ball 40 times today. They love it.
Right.
You tell them we're going to drop back and throw it 50. Now, they're not too crazy about that.
I mean, I love that.
It is a mindset. I mean, you have to be committed to the task.
You know what it's called?
Yeah.
Marty ball.
Well,
and guess what? Marty ball's pretty good.
Maybe it's not so bad.
What's the one constant out there?
In San Diego?
The GM.
General manager.
AJ Smith.
Absolutely.
By the way, just so people understand, this is the first time in his NFL career that LaDainian Tomlinson has gone the first 3 games of a season and not had at least one 100-yard game. Wow. When we return on this edition of NFL Primetime, it was arguably the most important game in Texans franchise history. Were they up to the task against the Super Bowl champs? And what did the Steelers do Sunday that they hadn't done since 1992? Oh, the irony. Primetime rolls on.
Welcome back to Prime Time. I'm Ed Werder in New Orleans with your Teams at 20 update. During training camp, Saints running back Deuce McAllister told me the Saints had to prove that getting to within a game of the Super Bowl last year wasn't a fluke, that they weren't one-year wonders. So far, they've done no such thing. McAllister doesn't have 100 yards rushing in 2 games. Reggie Bush hasn't scored a touchdown, and in 2 blowout losses, Drew Brees attempted more passes than any other quarterback in the league. With the Saints trying to overcome their longest losing streak under coach Sean Payton, I asked Brees whether some doubt had begun to emerge among the players. His answer could not have been more emphatic. Repeating the question, he said, "Is there any doubt in our minds? I have 2 words for you. Hell no." Trey, that might be the most positive thing that's happened to the Saints so far this season.
Prime time rolls on. 2-0 Colts in Houston taking on the 2-0 Texans without wideout Andre Johnson. Tony Dungy lost the last time they played the Texans. First quarter, Colts down 10-7. Joseph, we are going to die as he jumps over and gets in.
I wonder what his vertical leap is.
Well, we'd like to thank D'Amico Ryans for hitting him there so he doesn't land on his head. Yeah. Actually saved a die. Colts go up 14-7. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning having a good day in the shocker department. Manning with the pump fake finds Reggie Wayne, just your standard operating procedure, 64-yard Colts completion.
And all set up because Peyton Manning's so patient early, dumping them off, taking the little 5-yard hitches, then you see the pump and the deep throw.
That leads to a Colts field goal. Fourth quarter, Colts up by 10. Manning to Marvin Harrison. Congratulations, Marvin, on this 14-yard completion. You move into 4th all-time in receiving yards in NFL history. Turning point of the game, third quarter, Texans looking for the tying score. But show me a Rocky Boyman on the spot, please. Able to make the diving interception. And on the ensuing Colts possession, 1st and goal. Did I mention Joseph Adai earlier? Let's mention him one more time. This is his hometown. Bounces outside for 8 yards. Colts go up, and they go on to win this one. Final 30-24.
Texans aren't going to go away again.
No, they're strong. They're solid. Bills and Patriots. Again, New England really likes the number 38. Shocker, great day for Tom Brady. Much in the same way, great day for Peyton Manning because he's got Randy Moss to throw to. Why was that a completion, Merrill?
To me, this was all set up by watching tape. They've been running the fade route over to the corner. Now they change it up, do a little quick slant. Corner's playing to the outside. Touchdown.
And then they kicked Jabari Greer in the head just for fun.
Yeah, why not?
Pats up 17-7, and why not throw deep? This is great coverage by Greer.
Yeah, he just needs to be 5 inches taller, and he gets that ball knocked away. But
look at Randy Moss. Continue to run. Last second, he sticks those hands out there. He gets himself an extra yard down the football field. And, man, it's like a Venus flytrap. Are you kidding me?
6th career 4-touchdown game for Brady. Belichick happy, everybody happy. 38 for the 3rd straight week. They pound the Bills 38-7. Inside the numbers. Let's just say early returns on the Randy Moss thing, good. Brady has thrown Moss's way 25 times this season. They've had 22 completions. Well, what the heck happened on those 3 throws? 403 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's nearly what Moss put up all of last season with the Raiders. Another great matchup, 2-0 Steelers hosting the 2-0 Niners. First quarter, the 49ers actually led this one until they decided to kick it off to Allen Rossum. Big mistake. Huge.
Yeah.
Large.
Well, it is now.
Yeah, you know what?
The plan is always to tackle that guy within the 30.
It's execution of that plan that sometimes gets in the way. 98-yard touchdown, Steelers on top 7-3, and they stayed there. Ben Roethlisberger looked like, well, the Ben Roethlisberger we saw his first couple of years. Here tossing one to Jeremy Tooman.
Plant and throw. When he does that, he is money.
Steelers go up 14-6. Fourth quarter now up 20-9. Another plant and throw to Santonio Holmes here.
You know what? They've become a very explosive offense with some different types of formations that help them get to those big plays.
Steelers up 23-9, and there's always defense in Pittsburgh, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
Brian McFadden says thank you.
Well, you know, it's like, you know, for 50 years they've been doing this stuff. You know, they play defense, they run the football, you know, they take advantage, play good special teams. It's the same old Steelers. I think they get different uniforms on this week than they had last week.
Steelers win easily, 37-16. They're 3-0 for the first time since '92, which was Bill Cowher's first year as head coach. So the first year under Mike Tomlin, the first time they go 3-0 since Bill Cowher's first year in 1990. You can't make that stuff up.
No, you can't. I played for that team with Billy.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our Ask Primetime question, and it comes to us from TJ in Marietta, Ohio. And he asks, fellas, if Pittsburgh makes it to the playoffs, which looks like a pretty good bet at this point, how far can they go?
All the way. All the way, and immediately, oh, about Indianapolis. What about New England? Well, here's what the Pittsburgh Steelers would have against those two teams. You can neutralize their best player, which is their quarterback. You can neutralize the quarterback. You neutralize all the weapons on the outside. The Steelers have that. They can stop the run with their front 7. And offensively, they can shove it down your throat, and they can be explosive as well. They have as complete a team as those other two I just talked about, but what gives them the advantage, they can neutralize Brady and they can neutralize Peyton Manning.
It's what Coach said. The Pittsburgh Steelers have an identity. They know who they are. They're going to play great defense, staunch defense. They're going to run the football. They're going to set up play action. And they're one of those football teams that will run a bunch of zone blitz stuff. So they're bringing 4 guys, and they're dropping zone behind it. It looks like 9 guys are coming. You think you throw to an area, and that area is occupied by a defender.
And what they're breaking down your pass protection. So you're going to have a guy to block somebody, but there's going to be nobody to block, but there's nobody to block the guy that's coming. That's exactly what Dick LeBeau does. It's a great scheme. You're right. This football team matches up. Here's the key. They must get to those quarterbacks you're talking about, Brady and Manning, or else they don't match up well in the corners with the receivers.
Well, the last time they played the Indianapolis Colts in the postseason, they got to that quarterback pretty well. Don't forget, you can ask Primetime. Go to ESPN.com, search Ask Primetime, and keep this one on your radar screen. December 9th, Pittsburgh Steelers at New England.
I'll be there.
That will be a good game. This, of course, is a great show. Still ahead on Primetime, their uniforms were hideous, but the way the Eagles played was beautiful. We'll break it down for you. And the Redskins learned the hard way Sunday. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And against the Giants, they didn't, and the G-men did. We continue on Prime Time. Lions at Eagles. Let's just say Donovan McNabb motivated. Do not look at the uniforms. Avert your eyes. Concentrate on the play of Donovan McNabb. Play fake, and Kevin Curtis faked out everybody. This would be a recurring theme in the first half of this game. 68 yards for the touchdown. The Eagles at this point up 21-7.
Route running here. Look at that. Yep.
Watch him move. Outside, up the field. Great throw.
Stanley Wilson never had a chance.
Why wouldn't you tackle him right there?
I don't know. That's an excellent question. They're asking that in Detroit. 4th Eagles possession. McNabb again to Curtis. Apparently he's invisible in this uniform. The Eagles led 28-7. They scored on their first 4 possessions. Then second quarter, McNabb with a play fake. I'm telling you, he's got superhuman powers. No one can find Kevin Curtis. How did he get so wide open? Well, he runs a stop-and-go route. And he just went.
No sense.
McNabb and Curtis working beautifully together all game.
Oh, boy.
You know, with everything that happened, with the whole HBO deal and the reactions and things of that nature, we still got to play football. So if it would have came out next week, if it would have came out later in the week or later in the year, you still got to play football. You know, being 0-2, a lot of people counting us out. and saying that, this team just isn't what it used to be or whatever it may be, and for us to come out the way we did as a team in all phases, I think this ranks up there as the top.
Yeah, not all phases. The uniform phase still not
They
sold.
look great. Listen, I can remember the week they wore them.
Really?
I was playing
You were
I
there.
was playing at that time.
Okay, Westbrook also played great, Coach. Apparently had an issue with the knee. Apparently not so much. What happened here?
Well, first of all, he lets these blockers block, and then he explodes to the hole and then finishes. And you talk about a lateral cutter. Well, unbelievable. In the hole, lateral, explosive. What makes him so dynamic?
If you wonder why they scored 56 points, they had a quarterback that threw for over 300. Kevin Curtis had 200 yards in the first half. And Westbrook had 100 on the ground and through the air. This may be the most impressive one of all, Mark. Look at him follow his blockers.
They're a great screen
That's great
team.
running right there.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
A great screen team, and when you've got that guy running behind those guys, that's what makes him a great screen team. Watch him avoid people, balance, use his hand, and then go ahead and you can feel free to tackle if you'd like.
Well, you can. They just chose not to. It's a democracy.
No contact.
Eagles win it 56-21. So the 0-2 Giants trying to right themselves against the 2-0 Redskins. Plex and company having issues with their visor and looking for their first win of the season. And apparently the visor, one of the problems early because Plex, well, let's just say it was a tale of two halves for him. Eli here airs it out, and that's a catchable ball.
Hit him in a bad place, right in the hands. Yeah, you can't. Don't put it right on his hands.
0 catches
Why
in the
not? 'Cause
first
I'll
half.
do it right here. I'll give him another chance. There you go, Plex.
On his
Catch
hands
that
again?
one.
No.
Oh, all right.
No.
All right, I'm going to make him tough catches from now on.
Trust me, it got better for Plex. And then the defense of the Giants also getting things going. Jason Campbell with a swing pass, and Sam Madison tackles. And remember, the Giants were torched the first 2 weeks. They were motivated. Then Campbell trying to get a run for the first down, but Aaron Ross says, not today. Stuffs him.
Motivated.
On a
They were
3rd and 6.
fresh. They didn't play the first 2 weeks on defense.
However you want to describe
All
it,
right.
they came to the party against the Skins. Clinton Portis stopped by Michael Strahan. Next play, Portis wears the handoff. No, the Giants would recover. Keep in mind, they were up 17-3, the Redskins were at the half. And then the Eagles, or rather the Giants, just came storming out.
Yeah.
There's the better half for Plexico Burress.
Tough catch.
One
I
move.
can make that.
Oh, big hit, but he hung on, and he goes in for the score. Giants with 21 unanswered points to take the lead. And then things got really crazy. 3rd and 13, Jason Campbell. The Antoine Randall gets down to the 2-yard line, but the Redskins are out of timeouts. So on first down, with about a minute left, they spike it. Did you like that call?
I think you rush up there and you try to take a quarterback sneak real quick and see if you can't just get it in.
All right, so now they throw a play-action pass to Sellers, but it's behind him. Had he let him, he might have gotten to the pylon. So that's 2nd down. Now 3rd and goal, they give it to Liddell Betts, and he's stuffed by Kavika Mitchell.
Big
so
time
it
tackle
comes
there.
down to this. You still had 40 seconds left, but the Redskins were running to the line. They tried it one more time, and no, Betts gets tripped up way short of the end zone. The Redskins can't believe it. Tom Coughlin and the Giants sneak away with their first win of the season. The defense really played well late, 24-17. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Ravens. Is there a quarterback controversy brewing in Arizona? Matt Leinart started. He did not finish. First quarter, 3rd and 20. Nearly gets picked by Chris McAllister.
And this is why you have other packages, because if your quarterback can't hit those quick slants, and if he's slow getting back from center and let pressure get to him without getting rid of the football, you create other packages for your backup.
All right, so more of Leinart here, just trying to throw it away. Long completion. He was only 9 of 20. He was pulled in the first half for Kurt Warner, and then he was pulled in the second half for Kurt Warner. And that leads us to the veteran. 23-6 they're down, and all he does is stand in the pocket and deliver throws like that.
And, you know, that's a tough throw to that side of the field, and it's got to be on the money. And Matt Leinart struggles making throws like that.
And there's a stick throw to Anquan Bolden in the end zone, so now it's 23-13 next Arizona possession. Again, right over the middle, stands in the pocket. Markey delivers a strike to Bolden.
Makes a decision, steps into it, and delivers the football with some authority.
All right,
Looks like he's in
23-20.
the Arena League right there.
Well,
That's how quick that ball's coming
He
out.
did well in the Arena League. They eventually tied this thing up. Steve McNair had to sit because of that groin. Kyle Bowler comes in and delivers it to Todd Heap. He gets leveled by Adrian Wilson, but they called this a penalty.
Well, you know, that's what the
can't watch.
NFL has come to. I mean, they're going to call a penalty. If you just look at somebody real hard with a nasty look, they'll call a penalty on you
So that
anymore.
gave
Well,
15
and I
more
agree.
yards.
Yeah, I think they're getting too touchy about it, but that was a lunch. You know, he nailed the guy.
And that led to a field goal attempt by Matt Stover. They win it 26-23. All right, Rams and Bucks. Hey, all of us at Primetime would like to thank the Rams for their participation in the 2007 season and wish them luck in the upcoming draft.
Have they participated yet?
Well, that's actually debatable. The Bucks defense didn't let them participate in this one. Look at the great pick by Jermaine Phillips.
Defense.
They have a tremendous defense. Where's that throw going? Because it's only going to be intercepted. That's the only guy that can make a play on that ball.
And it was intercepted.
And Phillips makes a great job. And then Chris Hovance stuffing Steven Jackson here. Now, Jackson, to his credit, finally had 115 yards, but it took him 30 carries. And then Derek Brooks, they say he's old. Well, he's still pretty good. That's a form tackle, is it not?
Look at him dip his shoulder, get underneath the running back, lift him up, send him backwards.
All right, Mark Bulger got the big contract, but he has not delivered here. Philip Buchanan's got his eyes on Bulger, and Bulger's got his eyes on Drew Bennett. And Buchanan says, I'm reading this all the way. That was too easy.
Listen, that ball has to be out high and out to the outside, so either it's an incompletion or your wide receiver tags him. Keep on it.
And that is Cato June leveling Jackson. Buccaneers win it 24-3. As we continue here on Primetime, 5 touchdown passes and 51 points in his first start of the season. What in the name of Brian Sipe would Derek Anderson have in store for his second start of the season? And speaking of the defense that Anderson victimized, the Bengals were in Seattle trying to prove that last week's meltdown was merely an aberration.
Welcome back to Primetime. I'm Rachel Nichols with your Teams at 20 update in New Orleans, where the Titans receivers are on a mission tonight. And it's just as much psychological as it is physical. Wideout Eric Moulds told me that they've been reading the newspapers and seeing all the criticism that the Saints secondary has been getting for missing coverages, and that they feel the Saints are going to be under a lot of pressure tonight to make up for those mistakes. And that means those guys are going to be thinking too much. So the Titans' plan is to just make them think even more. You're going to see a lot of Tennessee sets tonight where the guys are shifting, moving, even throwing a receiver into the backfield. The Tennessee receivers feel that by the end of the first quarter, the Saints are going to be so tangled up that all they'll see is open field. Now let's go back up to Trey in Bristol.
All right, Rachel, thanks. And there is the Lexus bus. Tony Kornheiser arriving into New Orleans tonight for the game between the Titans and the Saints. Again, it comes your way 8:30 Eastern right here on ESPN. Prime time rolls on. Jags and Broncos, don't let it come down to the leg of Jason Elam. Mark, who's that?
That's TD.
That's right, Terrell Davis on hand. He was inducted into the Broncos Ring of Honor. You blocked well for him. Denver was unable to control the run in this game. Jaguars had an 11-minute drive. This was a beatdown by the offensive line, Mark.
The offensive line just controlled the line of scrimmage. They get into the linebackers. Look at Fred. Look at Taylor. Get out of my way. Oh, they're just physical.
I thought you couldn't run the ball against 8 in the box.
Yeah, you can.
No,
you
what
can't.
happened? Oh,
yeah, you can if you're running against Denver.
And then Maurice Jones-Drew getting back into the act. I'm telling you, this guy never goes down until you hit him for like the 8th time.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog guy. You know, he just keeps churning out things.
You know, the kids today, they don't play Sega anymore, so they don't know.
Sorry,
That's just showing how old we are. And there it is, the capper, Reggie Williams, 11 minutes, 44 seconds. Second longest touchdown drive in the last 15 seasons. Now, Garrard, design, draw, tons of room upfield. Boy, you like what you see in him, man.
Yeah, I like what Dirk Cutter, their offensive coordinator, is doing. He's adapted to what strength he has there, that he's got that offensive line rolling, and he's taking advantage of all of Garrard's strengths.
And that's Greg Jones scoring, and DJ Williams is there, but he can't wrap him up. Touchdown Jaguars. Okay, Broncos still with a chance to win. Fourth quarter, down 6, over 4 minutes left with no timeouts. 4th and 5 for their own 9. They go for it, and it looks like Daniel Graham is there for a first down, but the ball pops out. Incomplete to Graham. Shanahan with an interesting decision. Jags going to win it 23-14. Bengals, Seahawks. Would Cincy's defense show up in this one? Second quarter, Matt Hasselbeck looking for a receiver, and he finds one. Unfortunately, it eventually lands in the hands of first-round pick for Cincinnati, Leon Hall, his first career pick. All right, someone on the defensive side made a play. Third quarter, Seattle pinned in their own territory. Lamar Marshall, another Bengal defensive player, making a play. And then Hasselbeck here looking for Nate Burleson, but it's Madu Williams. We're seeing all kinds of plays made by the Bengals defense.
Well, they didn't make any last week, so it was time to make some this week because the pride got challenged a little bit and the guys showed up.
They might have hit their quota for the year.
This was a perfect bounce to Madu Williams. And then we go to the final drive. Bengals kicking off up 21-17. They've done things right, except for here. They kick it out of
He gave
bounds.
too much time, and then the kicker, you just can't kick it out of bounds.
So they start their drive
way in those kickers.
on their
I'm with you
own
on that.
40. And Hasselbeck, given a chance, finds Nate Burleson for a nice catch along the sidelines.
throw.
And then it came down to this one play. 4th and 1 on the Cincy 36. And Sean Alexander follows his blocks perfectly, gives him a huge first down, rumbles for
Look
14
how hard
yards.
he's running, Coach.
And then just over a minute remaining, relax. Hasselbeck,
Only you, Jeff.
Burleson to the right side, Burleson to the left side. They made some plays, but not enough. The Seahawks come back to win it. Final score, 24-21. Dolphins, Jets. Somebody's winning their first game of the season. Chad Pennington back under center after the bad ankle. And you know what? He played pretty well.
And we believe, dang it.
And so does Lavernius Coles. That is a great throw to Lav in the corner of the end zone. Jets go up 7-0. Just before the half, Jets up 14-13, and this is a great pass and a great grab by Chris Baker, Mark.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, great touch by Chad Pennington, and some would argue that that's the only kind of throw he can make is a great touch throw. But look at the concentration.
I thought it was a wide receiver. I mean, I really did. I talked to him on the radio. I thought it was a wide receiver. It's a tight end.
Yeah, it's a great job getting both
Tight ends
feet
can make
down.
that play.
And then this is going to make everybody happy in New York if Thomas Jones can run the way we saw him run the last couple of years in Chicago.
If he's decisive and he finishes like that, and you talk about it, that might be another. That's the second best stiff arm we've seen in these highlights.
And you're just
like
hoping,
it.
you're
I like
hoping
it.
that got blanked out on the film right there.
That's pretty good right there now. That's good change of direction.
Now that's the Thomas Jones we've seen run for the Bears. He's really getting it done. 110 yards rushing in this game. And then, okay, he's not Vince Young. He shares the same number. And Chad runs into the end zone.
Don't hurt yourself.
The ankle
gets
looks
hurt
fine.
jumping up.
Don't hurt yourself on the spike. Jets win it 31-28. All right. Check in with the Panthers and the Falcons. D'Angelo Hall had himself some issues in the third quarter. Steve Smith turns on the Jets, and he's blowing by him, so D'Angelo just sort of tackles him before the ball. That would be a penalty.
Yeah, but a smart move because I'll tell you what, he catches it, and I'm talking,
All
it's
right.
a touchdown.
I'll give you that. That's a 37-yard penalty. Very next play, he just takes a shot at his face. That's not a smart penalty. That's a personal foul, 15 yards. Bobby Petrino says, "What are you doing to me right now?" And D'Angelo wants no part of it. They may have an issue with that. Later on the drive, Jake Delhomme steps back, and oh, goodness, he goes down, sacked by John Abraham. But wait a minute, there are hankies everywhere. Why? Smith and all are jawing after the play, and the flag comes out for who? D'Angelo Hall. Another unsportsmanlike conduct. He's charged with a total of 67 penalty yards on the drive.
Keep in mind, you had to lead at that time.
Yeah, and he's still going after his head coach. You're not winning this, D'Angelo. And the Panthers win the game 27-20. Petrino said there will be significant discipline. Vikings-Chiefs. Adrian Peterson and the Vikings at Arrowhead. They're scoreless in the first quarter until Ty Law can't get him. AP goes around the corner for an 11-yard score at 102 yards and a touchdown in the game, but don't count the Chiefs out. Their number one pick, Dwayne Bowe. Oh, put a bow on it, will ya? A 16-yard strike from Damon Hewitt, and
play,
the Chiefs
boys. He can play,
win
that
their
guy.
first one of the season. Final score, 13-10. When we return on primetime, what to make of what we've seen from Green Bay? That's ahead. I'll break it down with the coach.
Welcome back to NFL Primetime.
We continue here on NFL Primetime. Browns and Raiders. Romeo Crennel trying to win 2 straight games. And let's just say Lane Kiffin's a quick study. We'll get to that later. Browns down 10-6. They decided to kick it to Joshua Cribbs. The Raiders did. And this was a bad decision because he ain't getting stopped. 99 yards later, he's in the end zone. The Browns now down 16-7. And then Dante Culpepper got into the mix for the Raiders. Took over in the second half for Josh McCown, who has a sore left foot. Culpepper looked pretty good here with a strike to Zach Miller right up the middle for a first down. And then Culpepper in the red zone. Raiders down 17-16. Little fake and throws it outside to John Madsen. Another first down. This would lead to a Raiders touchdown. Fourth quarter, Culpepper on third down to Jerry Porter. That's a nice pitch and catch. Culpepper 8 of 14, 118 yards. All right, here's the game. Fourth quarter, Browns down 26-24, 3 seconds left. Phil Dawson lining up for a 40-yard field goal, and, well, that's Lane Kiffin calling timeout right before the kick. The field goal is good, but it doesn't count. Now, Lane Kiffin remembers things because it was just last Sunday, Raiders tied in Denver and right before Sebastian Janikowski's game-winning kick, field goal. But Mike Shanahan called that. So now they have to re-kick it, and this time he stoinks it off the top of the upright. The Raiders would go on to lose that game. So what would happen this time around? Well, Phil Dawson on the re-kick, and it's blocked. Lane Kiffin realizing if you can't beat them, join them. Raiders go on to win 26-24, snapping an 11-game losing streak that dates back to 2006. Okay. Mike Ditka here with me now. It's a rule. It says you can do it. Mike Shanahan used it to his advantage last week. Lane Kiffin used it to his advantage this past Sunday. Do you like it?
I don't like it, but, you know, here's what I say. You know, if you got to call the timeout, it's got to go to the head official. The head official, if he doesn't call the timeout before it's kicked, if the coach doesn't get his attention, doesn't get to him, then the kick's good. Whether you block it or not, whether it's good, goes through the upright, that's what I think it should be. I think the competition committee is going to address this. I don't know if they'll change it. I just think the spirit of the game wasn't meant to be that. You know, you're at the fraction where the ball is going to be snapped. I mean, you're not doing that. What are you really doing? I mean, the advantage you're getting, it's not really an advantage. It's, I don't know. It's just not in the spirit of the game to me.
All right. Do you think that's not something? Obviously, it's going to be something that's going to be discussed because it's happened twice here. Do you think that there's momentum to change that rule? Because it seems like two coaches have used it to their advantage.
I think Lane used it because he had it used on him, and it happened to be 1 week after the other week. But no, I don't think that many people do it like that. But they're going to talk about it. Whether they change it, I don't know. I just don't like. I don't think it's in the best interest of the game of football.
All right. So let's move on. 3 weeks into the season, what team has impressed you the most so far?
Green Bay Packers. Brett Favre playing like a young man. He's having fun. He looks like a kid in a candy store. He is the gunslinger, and he's having fun out. Plus, this team can play defense. Now, their front seven matches up pretty well with everybody I've watched.
Yeah, as well as Favre is playing, that defense and their front seven really the strength of this game, and they've done everything right. Again, once again, shutting down LaDainian Tomlinson. On the other side of that, Coach, what team has disappointed you the most?
Well, to me, I guess a lot of people would say San Diego. I say the Chicago Bears. I think they were expected to be a better football team than they are, and everybody says, well, you know, they've been on the field for 108. Well, you're on the field for one reason, because you can't get off the field. You want to get off the field, get 3 and outs. That's the only way you can do it. You can say anything you want to about the defense. Stop them in 1, 2, 3 down, and they got to punt it. And that's the only way you're going to get off the field. If you don't do that, you're going to be out there all day.
Well, and then, of course, it doesn't help when Rex Grossman throws 3 interceptions and more defensive snaps. Rex Grossman for the Chicago Bears. Coach, as always, we appreciate you being with us on Prime Time. And when we return, we will hand out the hardware, our Prime Time performers for Week 3. Stay with us. Coming right back.
NFL Prime Time.
All right, primetime performers, Week 3. Merrill Hodge, who do you have?
Well, he had 5 incompletions, but I'm going with him anyway. Over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he responded beautifully in the design of the old offense. Donovan McNabb.
Mark, who do you have?
Brian Westbrook, the counterpart, over 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving. The last time I did the math, that's over 200 total yards, Brian Westbrook.
You're a genius. Yeah. By the way, if I had a vote, I would go with Kevin Curtis. He had 11 catches, 221 yards, 9 catches in the first half.
Thank you.
Mark Schlereth, Merrill Hodge. I am merely Trey Wingo. Adieu.
Got to get a block. He gets one.
Still on his feet at the 40.
Dante Hall in the Cowboys territory.
He's at the 20. He's at the 10.
86-yard touchdown.
He's hit as he throws the ball. It's picked up by Kansas City. Touchdown!
Touchdown! Raiders! And he gets sacked again by Umanura. Sack number 6 for Rossi, and the 12th of the ball game for the Giants.
Brett looking, drills the middle. He's got Jennings. Touchdown! Brett Favre has passed Dan Marino to become the National Football League all-time leading touchdown passer.
Well, hi, I'm America, and welcome into another edition of NFL Primetime. Glad you are here with us. Trey Wingo, the Merrill Hodge, Mark Schlereth. What more do we have for you? We got a great Sunday of football to take you through and a great Monday night game to take you up to 8:30 Eastern right here on ESPN. The Patriots in Cincinnati against the defensively challenged Bengals. And that means Cincinnati's going to have to do something that nobody has been able to do this season. Somehow, some way, slow down the Tom Brady to Randy Moss connection. 3 games, they've hooked up on 22 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Moss, a tidy average of just over 18 yards a grab. Now would be a good time to point out that the Bengals have the 27th pass defense in the NFL. Clearly, this 4th-round pick for Moss, brilliant. Looking inside the numbers, Brady has thrown his way 25 times. Oh, by the way, 403 yards in completions and 5 touchdowns. That's nearly what Moss put up all of last season in a disastrous final stint with the Raiders. Every 20 minutes, we get you an update on the teams in the Monday night game, and we start right now with Sal Paolantonio on the visiting Patriots. Hello, Sal Pal.
Hello, Trey. Well, you showed everybody the numbers, but the big mystery is what has turned around Randy Moss from the 2. Let's put it, mildly. It was dog years in Oakland. Now he's this fabulous player with New England. And I'm told that it's because Tom Brady is not afraid to challenge Randy Moss in practice. Been a couple occasions when Randy Moss has not run out routine pass routes. And when he comes back to the line of scrimmage, comes back to the huddle, Tom Brady gets right up to him and says, hey, what's going on here? He has the stature, obviously, the street cred, let's call it, to challenge Randy Moss in the huddle and during practice. And it is obviously paying off. You showed the numbers. The big number for Tom Brady, averaging 10 yards an attempt. Previously, up to this year, just 7 yards an attempt. Dramatic turnaround not only for Moss, but for Tom Brady. Now for a report on the Bengals, here's Bob Holtzman.
Well, Sal, this may be good news for Tom Brady. The Bengals haven't been blitzing much recently. One defensive starter told me the reason why is because the coaches don't trust the cornerbacks and don't want to leave them one-on-one. The Bengals start 2 number 1 picks at corner, but one, Leon Hall, is a rookie. The other, Jonathan Joseph, a second-year guy. The player I talked with said, we have to trust the corners tonight to play one-on-one. Otherwise, if we don't blitz, Tom Brady may stand back there and pick us apart.
All right, Bob, Sal, thanks very much. So let's break down this matchup here a little bit, Merrill. The Bengals won't have Rudy Johnson for this one. His backup, Kenny Irons, lost in the preseason. The best way to keep Tom Brady and Randy Moss from making connections is to keep them on the bench. Can the Bengals run the ball effectively enough to keep those guys on the sidelines?
Trey, I think actually running the football's got to help to their arsenal to be explosive. I don't think you come into this game going, well, let's try to keep Tom Brady off because he's going to get his shots. I think you got to have great balance so you can be explosive. And early in the season with Rudy Johnson as their starter, they just weren't that. They had no dimension in the running game. Rudy Johnson used to be the toughest back in football to tackle, no longer. As I study him, he gets to the line of scrimmage, he dances, he moves sideline to sideline. He is not a vertical or perimeter runner. Whereas Kenny Watson, when he gets in the game, he is a different ball player. It's been a one-dimensional ball club. Rudy Johnson hasn't stroked it up in there, got a couple extra yards when he's getting it, and eventually the big one, it's been Kenny Watson that gets in there and he flashes. What I'm saying in this game, Kenny Watson will hit the hole. Kenny Watson can get to the perimeter, and you must be able to run the football and have that explosive bounce. If they have that in the passing game, it will help them. But you got to be judicious with the ball. But you can't go in there and go, oh, let's just hand the football off. They got too many weapons on the outside. Use them, complement them with the running game. And that's what I think Kenny Watson will bring to him that Rudy Johnson has not given him early in the year.
Well, listen, the Bengals would be ecstatic if Kenny Watson had 20-plus carries, 130 yards, because it would mean that Brady and Moss will be on the bench for a while. But eventually they're going to play, Mark.
Right.
And eventually they're going to see the field. You have your eye on one man in that defensive secondary that has got to step up big for the Bengals.
Therein lies the problem. Eventually, Tom Brady is getting on the field with Randy Moss. Jonathan Joseph, the outside cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, has got his hands full tonight because he has been a guy that people have attacked on a consistent basis throughout the first couple of weeks of the season. Right here, you see him getting turned around on Winslow right there, and that's an easy touchdown. Now he's going to be in press here. He's got to get one-on-one coverage here, opens up his hips, and basically just gets run by. You've got to be able to cover better than that in a one-on-one situation. Can't be caught looking in the backfield. And again, Joseph, here he is, looking back at the quarterback, turning it loose, thinks he's got help over the top, It's too late there. He has got to be better, and he's going to be matched up at times with Randy Moss. They're going to try to get those one-on-one matchups. And Tom Brady has been so efficient with the football right now. 10 TDs on the season, only 1 interception. The guy is playing as well as anybody has ever played the position.
And, Steve, I believe there's enough tape on Randy Moss with the New England Patriots in this game. I don't believe that the Cincinnati Bengals will ever have him singly matched up. I think they will always have somebody over the top, some help there, somehow, some way in this one. Because you ultimately have to say this. If we lose, we're not going to lose because Randy Moss beats us. That's the one thing you got to walk away with going, he's not going to beat us.
There's also enough tape to know that Randy Moss really shows up on Monday nights. 96.7 receiving yards per game, the most in history when you look at receivers with a minimum of 10 Monday night games. When we return on primetime, Brett Favre now stands alone, and then again, so do the Packers, as the records and the opponents continue to fall for number 4 and Green Bay. You know, the Bears thought the move to Brian Griese at QB would cut down on their turnovers. Keyword in that sentence, would. And the city discovered by the Germans in 1904 is in a free fall. Santiago. Let one get away on Sunday. What is going wrong?
You are watching NFL Primetime. Welcome back to NFL Primetime.
We continue here on NFL Primetime, joined by the coach, Mike Ditka, along with the regular crew of, well, these guys. You know what's going on. In Chicago, Rex Grossman out at quarterback, Brian Griese in. Bears 2 games back in their own division with their first game within their division, taking on the Detroit Lions. So how would the move to Brian Griese fare for Chicago? Well, in the red zone, Bears deep in Lions territory, Griese looking for Bernard Berrien, which is a smart thing to do, but you don't want to throw it to Fernando Bryant. So that's interception number 1. And then, Merrill, one more time, in the red zone, we have an issue.
Well, you know what? You can tell that he was rusty, but he's very sloppy with these techniques, too. You know, throw all these back foot, late on throws, not where they're supposed to be. So you expect that a little bit when he hasn't played a lot.
All right, so that's interception number 2. Fourth quarter, Bears up 13-10, 3rd and 3, and it goes right to Keith Sims, and he's going the other way. And believe